Today is Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be followed by the oath.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight, I'm going to recite the Lord's Prayer and would like anyone that would like to join me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Okay, up next we have the adoption of the minutes. Mr. Cease, are there any changes?
None that I've heard from unless council has any tonight.
Okay. Is there any discussion from council, or is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. It's unanimous. Now we'll go to the regular meeting minutes of 9/9. Oh, that was the regular meeting. Up next, we have presentations, celebrations, and recognitions. Up first will be Beaufort County School District Character Student of the Month, followed by the National Medicine Abuse Awareness Month, and the third will be Breast Cancer Awareness Month proclamation.
Do we have Parker Hooser? Hooser?
Yeah.
Come on up. So, what makes you so honorable? Somebody want to talk
Sure,
about her?
I'll read her nomination. So Parker was nominated for kindness for the month of August to represent not only Bluffton Elementary School, but also our entire school district. So this is what I wrote along with her classmates. Parker Hooser shows kindness. She is a bright light in our classroom. She greets everyone with a big smile and makes people feel special just by being around her. She is the first to notice when a friend needs help or a hug, and she is always ready to give it. When classmates were struggling to log on to computers, because in second grade they get computers and that's a whole thing. When they were struggling, she was quick to step in and kindly assist them. She also encourages others when they feel frustrated, reminding them to always keep trying. Parker shows kindness to her classmates, her teacher, and even her brother in kindergarten. She treats everyone with care and respect, and she helps make our classroom a happy place to be. We are so happy to have her, and we are proud of her for showing kindness all month long.
Too much love and kindness, okay? So we're proud of you. Got a few little gifts for you. These are really special.
Oh, thank you.
You want to get a picture? With all of us?
You want me to?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Up next, National Medicine Abuse Awareness Month proclamation. This is an annual campaign to raise the public's awareness of the dangers of medicine misuse. More than 80,391 overdose deaths occurred in 2024. The town of Bluffton's allotment of the opioid settlement funds to the Low Country Alliance for Healthy Youth was dedicated to social media campaigns to target youth about the dangers of medicine misuse. I, Larry Toomer, along with Bluffton Town Council, do hereby proclaim the month of October to be National Medicine Abuse Awareness Month. I urge all residents to safely dispose of your unused or expired medicines. Now we're going to hear from Kayla and Tanya. Kyler?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
it's okay. My name is Kara Pascalone. I'm a member at Teens for Healthy Youth. Mayor Toomer and Council, on behalf of Low Country Alliance for Healthy Youth and Teens for Healthy Youth, we thank you for issuing this proclamation proclaimed National Medicine Abuse Awareness Month. Our gratitude is also extended to the town for the disbursement of funds from the opioid settlement funds to Low Country Alliance for Healthy Youth for the purpose of creating social media messages by youth to educate teens about medicine abuse and the dangers of counterfeit pills laced with fentanyl. Thank you for investing in the health and wellness of youth in our community.
Hi, my name is Tamara Bolden, and I am a member of Teens for Healthy Youth. I would like to encourage everyone to use Lackey's information card that gives the locations as to where used medicine can be dropped off all year round. One location is Bluffton PD. I also encourage you to pick up a copy of the RX drop-off card and deter bags used to discard unused medication when you leave this evening. These resources will be found on the table outside the council chambers. Thank you again for supporting our vision to promote positive health and wellness in our community.
Thank you.
All right, you ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Got it, thank you.
Mayor, you look good in pink.
Thank you. I get to keep this. Okay, up next, Breast Cancer Awareness Month proclamation. Breast cancer is the second most common cancer among women. Early detection is important and treatment can save lives. In October, we recognize breast cancer survivors and those currently battling in the disease, friends and families of those diagnosed, and we applaud the efforts of our medical professionals and researchers. I, Larry Toomer, along with Bluffton Town Council, do hereby proclaim the month of October to be Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I lost a sister in '91 at the age of 34 with 4 kids less than 10. So it's a nasty disease, but you can find it on time, you can do something with it nowadays. So I just urge everyone to get your screenings. I guess we'll save that for.
Okay, up next is public comment. Instead of reading all of our long rules and all that, we're going to put them up on the board. I ask and urge that everybody, before you start speaking, read the rules, because we run a pretty tight ship if you...
During public comment, each speaker is limited to a total of 3 minutes per meeting, regardless of whether the person is speaking on their own behalf or as an agent for others. Meeting attendees may not donate, transfer, yield, or give all or any portion of their speaking time to another person. All public comments are to be conducted from the podium and directed to the town council as a whole and not to any member thereof. All speakers shall be mindful and respectful of those participating in or present at the meeting. Speakers shall be expected to be civil in their language and shall refrain from comment or behavior that involves disorderly speech or action, name-calling, personal attacks, threats, obscene or indecent remarks, and/or disruptive actions. All speakers shall confine their comments to issues under the jurisdiction of the town council. Speakers shall not use the public comment period to promote or advertise awards, businesses, services, goods, or candidates for public office. Any speaker that violates these rules and protocols for public comment may be ruled out of order by the presiding officer. Any person whose comments have been ruled out of order shall immediately cease and desist from further improper comments. The refusal of an individual to desist from further improper comments may subject the individual to removal from the meeting and/or a citation under Section 2-49 of the Town Code.
Okay. Up first, we'll have Bobby Mazingo. Please state your name and address.
Bobby Mazingo. I live at 40 Lawrence Street. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I'm here to offer just some brief comments on the ordinance that you folks will be looking at this evening for noise control. And as a resident, I'm in support of it. So I just wanted to point that out. I'm not going to waste your time on that. I do want to point out a discrepancy in the ordinance I want to bring to your attention. I know that the amendment is going to provide for a new definition of lawful noise limitations versus the table that was previously in the ordinance. All for that. That's great. I did notice perhaps a typo in the latest draft of the ordinance that I want to bring to your attention in the definition of lawful noise limitations, where it goes on to talk about, when noise is permitted between 12 p.m. and 10 p.m. And then there seems to be a typo. It says measured at a distance of 250 feet from the sound source. The critical part that's missing is the actual permitted noise decibels. That was in the prior draft of the ordinance. The prior draft, I think, said permissible sound levels 50 decibels measured at a distance of 250 feet from the sound source. That was apparently stricken in the latest draft. Probably a typo, if y'all would just correct that. And then, again, I'm all for it. The one thing I do want to say is the ordinance is great, but we need to look at enforcement. Chief Babowitz does a great job of it. I do know they need more noise meters because it's hard to enforce the ordinance without noise meters. But keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Up next, we'll have Virginia Marshall.
Hello, Mayor, Council. My name is Virginia Marshall. I'm a paramedic with Beaufort County EMS. This is Sarah Holbach. She is our community outreach coordinator. She just took that position, and she's going to be helping me with what I've come to speak to you guys about. So, as I'm sure many of you are aware, a lot of families suffer from food insecurities in Beaufort County. As of 2024, a statistic says it's about 8.1% of Beaufort County residents suffer from a food insecurity. In 2023, in the U.S., it was 13.5% of households, and that was up from 12.8% in 2022. So that's about 1 in 7 individuals in the United States that suffer from food insecurity. We can't get you the most recent statistics because, unfortunately, the presidential administration has not released anything and are not planning to in the near future. But what we can tell you is that people are unable to provide basic food staples to their households. They're unable, it's called a food insecurity, when they have to make a choice between filling their prescriptions or putting food on the table. And there are multiple agencies in Beaufort County that work to assist church groups, that sort of thing, to provide assistance. And after a decade as working as a Beaufort County first responder, where I've gone into people's homes in their times of crisis and looked at, empty cabinets and seeing what is needed, whether it's clothing, whether it's food, the first responder agencies in Beaufort County came together in 2021 and started the Beaufort County First Responder Food Drive. What makes us different is it's EMS, police, and fire coming together as a collaboration to give to the community. And we run a food drive from the beginning of November till mid-December, and then we distribute it between 2 agencies, Help of Beaufort and Bluffton Self-Help. And as you're aware, with Bluffton Self-Help, it was chartered in 1987 after Miss Ida Martin saw just a food insecurity. So it's been in this community for quite a while. So why I'm here before you tonight is just ask for your assistance in getting out the word. You should see in your packet, if not, we can get you copies of our flyer for the food drive. Awesome, thank you. And our food drive this year is November 1st through December 12th. We'll be distributing the food the following week between Help of Beaufort and Bluffton Self-Help. The chief has been nice enough to allow us to, again, put a food box in the police department. We've got it located in several EMS departments throughout the county here, including Moss Creek, Sun City, that sort of thing. And what I need from you guys is just to get the word out to your civic organizations, any community members that you speak to, church groups, and just let them know we need non-perishable items, preferably in date into like the next year. When we first started this, we had to throw out about a quarter of our first year's donations because people were nice enough to donate, but there's a lot of stuff that was out of date. So if you can get the word out, that would be most appreciated. So does anyone have any questions, Mayor, Council, about the program or anything like that?
Not at this time, but thank you for your efforts, and we appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you so much for allowing us the time to speak.
Okay, up next, we have Jacqueline Bauer.
Hi, thank you, Mayor and Council, for letting me speak tonight. My name's Jackie Bauer, and I live at, my husband and I both live in Old Town at 8 Wharf Street at the corner of May River Road. These comments are directed towards the noise ordinance that's up tonight to be reviewed. And it's primarily the enforcement of assistance in asking for town council help on the enforcement of the noise levels. Where we live is across the street from a new restaurant with a large, beautiful outdoor area. We are here to voice our concerns with the restaurants in Old Town not abiding by the noise ordinance for outdoor amplified music. Don't misunderstand me, we are not by any means against outdoor music play. It's part of the reason why we moved to Old Town. We are, however, opposed to restaurants not following the rules. The ordinance is a 10 p.m. curfew and 50 decibels, 250 feet from the sound source in the direction of the music. To understand that volume, Google says a 50 decibel sound is considered a comfortable noise level that is not typically harmful to human hearing and is noticeable but not disruptive. So when that sound rule is not followed from the restaurant across May River Road, the amplified music affects my neighborhood. Our house is over 250 feet away, not in the direction of the music. From outside our house, we have readings from 65 to 78 decibels on a regular basis. Inside our house, when the music is playing, amplified. Inside our house, we have readings at 45 to 50 decibels with windows and doors closed. From our backyard and front porch, we can't play our own music as it competes with the restaurant across May River Road. It's invasive to our living conditions. Making this is a possible adverse effect to the surrounding real estate for both residents and businesses. It's concerning and disruptive. I'm sorry to say, I've actually started praying for rain to stop the music. The 10 p.m. curfew is violated pretty consistently on the weekend. Recently, my husband had to get out of bed at 10:45 to go over to the restaurant and spoke to an employee to cut the music. He was aware of the 10 p.m. curfew. He was unaware of the 10 p.m. curfew, stating he thought it was 11. He cooperated, it was no problem. But it still does happen. We have spoken with Bluffton Police. They've been very cordial on the phone, no problem, they send somebody out. But we've been told that they don't know the decibel code and to call back if they play after 10 o'clock. We hope we can get that enforced better. Something is wrong here. After speaking with other residents, it's a problem throughout Old Town. Can I keep going? No.
Sorry, we have a 3-minute limit.
Okay. We hope we can get this
we
situation
heard
under
you, sir.
control. Thank you again.
Up next, we have Kenneth Rogers. Or do we? Kenneth Rogers? I don't know. Next, we have Vicki Buckley.
Hi, I'm Vicki Buckley. I represent Pinecrest this evening. I live at 110 Crestview Lane, certainly in Pinecrest. First, as a rep for Pinecrest tonight, I thank the town council for their continued support against the proposed development on the course driving range and for allowing me to speak this evening. As we all know, this is no easy matter to settle, and there is reasonable apprehension to the proposed build. I would like to suggest the town create an ordinance or law to prevent any high-volume residential build within 3 miles of any Bluffton schools. The increase of automobile traffic while children are biking or walking to schools puts Bluffton school population in danger. It is in the best interests of our entire town to minimize traffic congestion as school begins and ends. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Next, we have Jacqueline Bauer. Repeat. Up next, we have Sharon Brown.
Good evening, Council. Sharon Brown, 163 Buck Island Road, Bluffton, South Carolina. To the Bluffton Town Council. There seems to be a lot of negative public comments toward Bridget Frazier since you, Mayor Toomer, made a public comment as a private citizen on the $2 million lawsuit that she and her attorneys filed against the town. There is so much judgment without any of us being in her shoes. She's been arrested, stripped naked of her integrity and worth, then put in an orange suit, mugshot, jailed, charged for driving under suspension. March 2024, when Bridget Frazier was arrested during a traffic stop for allegedly driving on suspended license, a claim later proven false due to DMV error. Despite her extensive contribution to our community, including organizing over 10,000 meals for children during COVID and hosting a host of unity in the community vigils, offering warm shelters on the coldest night during the winter, and so many more acts of selflessness and kindness, she was treated as a criminal. This arrest was discriminatory, and the officer chose jail over citation. He had that right. In July 2024, her record was expunged, and the DMV issued an apology. Yet, I am sure the emotional, mental, and financial toll she endured cannot be erased. What's more disheartening is since the lawsuit became public, the public statement made from private citizen Toomer, who claimed to be speaking as that, posted on social media, Facebook, We Love Bluffton, that many people have reached out to me, some angry, some disappointed, and some others looking for clarity. You felt compelled to make this statement. No one is above the law. I don't believe it's the town's interest to settle this lawsuit simply because she serves on the council. Did Ms. Frazier ask for the town to settle because she serves on the council? That's one of the questions you left open because of that statement. Regardless of intent, when a mayor speaks, it carries weight. The public does not separate you from mayor from this position. Public commentary, since you intentionally felt compelled, I already did that one. Public commentary about fellow officials should be approached with respect and unity, not judgment and division. I urge the town to reflect on this incident and consider the broader implication of your actions and words. Bluffton deserves leadership that is transparent, ethical, and united, not one that allows moral ambiguity and public discord to define its legacy. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but we are all sinners and should not be judged by people's perception of an incident. If this unfortunate incident happened to one of you all, you don't know how you would respond. You don't know if you would sue the town. You cannot say you wouldn't, but you don't know. God be with you through this difficult time, Ms. Frazier. God bless you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Up next, we have Mr. Jeff Dixon.
Good evening, Council. I'm here to address the same issue also. My name's Jeff Dixon. I live at 3 Cherry Orchard Lane, Bluffton, South Carolina. Sir? I'm a little confused and disappointed that I have to come here in front of Town Council and express my disappointment of the council member suing the Bluffton Police Department. I always thought that all council members were happy with the Bluffton Police Department, but I guess I am wrong. As an FTO at the Bluffton Police Department for 19 years, we've always trained our officers to be consistent at what they do, very consistent at what they do. The officer was consistent at what he did that day. He's prior military. He used to be a drill sergeant. Again, he's easy to work with, easy to train. Again, it has to be a learning process. Most officers with the Bluffton Police Department are a lot younger today. 20s, early 20s, mid-20s. Again, when they see their name on a lawsuit, do they know how to react? No, I'm sure they don't, because none have ever been on a lawsuit. I have. I know exactly what it consists of. Again, what are we telling these younger officers? That council doesn't have their back when something does happen? again, council members, you know, get invited to promotions and picnics and everything else. Do we actually have the officers back or not? That's one thing that I'd like to know. I have always had respect for all council members, including the mayor, other town officials. I've always given just due respect. I was working the day of the traffic stop. I know what was said on the radio. I know exactly what it showed on our MDC and everything else, suspended for whatever code, 97, failure to pay on traffic tickets. It might have been a mistake from DMV, but the officers out there in the street don't know that at the time. How are we gonna check, especially it being a weekend? Also, I would just like to know from this point, again, you know, the council member posting on her Facebook about, you know, joking, hey, maybe I should have shirts made up with my booking photo on it and things. And then it goes from that to a lawsuit. Again, I've always been professional with this town, always. I've always said my piece. And most members of this council know I have said my piece. We preach to our officers, remain professional at everything you do. Because some people out here don't know what it's like. Thank you for your time, council. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Mayor.
Mr. Dixon. Okay, communications, council. Ms. Burton, you want to start on your end?
I don't have anything.
Ms. Frazier?
I would like to offer prayers of comfort to the residents of St. Helena Island and those impacted with the tragedy that transpired over the weekend. I know many are grieving and hoping that this is an instance that violence is definitely addressed and there are some solutions that allow that community to have some peace. In regards to anyone mentioning or speaking on the situation in regards to ongoing litigation, it is something that I would encourage everyone to trust the judicial process, allow that to play out. I'm not making any comments on that, but I respect everyone's right to their opinion. Would also ask for that same type of respect for the process, and that whatever needs to be found will be found. And just grateful that we're recognizing Breast Cancer Awareness Month also, and offering thoughts to any victims who have overcome breast cancer and those who are dealing with that, knowing that there are great resources in our community that offer free mammogram screenings, and no one's ever too young to go and get those screenings. And it's definitely something to not take lightly, to definitely take serious.
Mr. Hamilton?
Good evening, thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. We're one short, so. I didn't mention earlier, but Mayor Pro Tem Wood is not here with us tonight. He's on a planned family trip with his brother all over the world. So hopefully we can get through this meeting and get some work done without him, because he's always working on something. Okay, up next, we have our formal agenda items. Proposed amendments to the Town of Bluffton Code of Ordinance to include regulations addressing abandoned and derelict boats in the town's waterways. This is second and final reading. Ms. Collins?
So this is second and final reading. No changes to the actual proposed ordinance were made from first to second reading. However, council did ask staff to specifically go and look and clarify any budgetary impacts to passing this ordinance and then going through the procedure. Staff has met with staff from South Carolina Department of Natural Resources, as well as Beaufort County attorneys, town attorneys, and there is no budgetary impacts to this ordinance. Basically, we are a backup to the backup. Should SCDNR need any assistance, we have the ordinance in place to be able to assist as needed. So unless you have any questions, I do have a motion on the screen.
Start with Mr. Hamilton. Questions?
Well, you answered my question last time, so thank you.
Ms. Frazier?
No question.
Ms. Burton? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Or, I mean, a motion, make the motion. Are we gonna do it like that? We're gonna just read on the screen?
You have to make mention of it.
Yeah.
I move to approve the motion that's on the screen.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Heather. Up next, we have consideration of an ordinance approving a real property exchange agreement between the town of Bluffton and the Beaufort County School District for certain real property owned by the town of Bluffton within the Buckwalter Plan Unit development identified as R610-022-000-109400000 and authorizing execution and recording of certain documents therewith. This will be second and final reading. Mr. Icard.
Yes, sir, that is correct. I just want to put out there before we have a motion in front of you. Obviously, this approval is predicated on Beaufort County School District having the acquisition of the property. So what you're doing is you're approving this in order for the town manager to then authorize or go through the actual paper process of it. So just put that. There's been no changes. I do have a motion in front of you. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
No questions?
Not if someone want to make a motion?
I make a motion as presented on the screen. I move to approve as presented on the screen.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Moving on to item number 4, consideration of an ordinance authorizing an economic development incentive agreement between the town of Bluffton and Spartina 449 LLC. This is Mr. David Nellum. Oh, wait.
Skip number 3.
Did I skip 3? Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Forget what I just said. We're going to 3. Consideration of an ordinance amending the town of Bluffton's fiscal year 2026 budget to provide for the expenditures in certain funds and to allocate sources of revenue for the said funds to carry over unspent expenditures and encumbrances from the 2025 budget to the 2026 budget. Ms. Natalie.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. This is second reading. We did have a change from the first reading. At the last council meeting, there was an authorization of a third-party agreement for the connector road at Buckwalter Place and Washington Square. So that impact of just under $262,000 is included in this amendment for the second reading, but no other changes. And I'm happy to go through the rest of the presentation if you like.
Questions from council? Ms. Brazier? No?
No questions.
Okay. Somebody want to make this motion?
I move to approve the motion as read on the screen.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to David. Consideration of an ordinance authorizing an economic development incentive agreement between the town of Bluffton and Spartina 449 LLC.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. Good to be here in front of you.
Morning.
This is the second.
Say good morning.
Did I really? Good evening, good afternoon.
Wow.
Mayor and Council. Good to be here again. This is again for the Spartina 449 corporate headquarters to be located in Bluffton Town Village. There are no changes from last time, and since there are no changes, and since this is second reading, and since I'm a devotee of the Kevin Icard government efficiency in government, I have the motion for you ready to go, but I'll answer any questions you have.
Do we have any questions for David? Hearing none, does someone want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve as presented on the screen.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. So that's unanimous.
I do have that graphic.
We'll get it in the morning.
Yes, sir.
Okay, number 5 is consideration of amendments to the Municipal Code of Ordinance, Chapter 12, Environment, Article 3, Noise Control, and Chapter 13, Public Property, Article 2, Public Park and Boat Landing Rules, Section 13-38, Oyster Factory Park, first reading. Ms. Heather. And I have a question before we get into this. I normally recuse myself on anything pertaining to this, but I don't think I would need to on this particular thing. Mr. Richardson, what do you think?
Thank you, Mayor Toomer. No, that's consistent with my opinion. Recusal is only required when there's an economic interest at risk or to be, your economic interest to be improved by this. What's being considered here is a restriction on hours that will have general application regardless of the business there. So we don't believe so. That's ultimately your call, but I agree.
Yeah, and that's, I want to do what's right, but I think that I'm going to stay in on this one. So,
Okay, ready? Okay. So as you may recall, we workshopped this, Town Council workshopped this at your last meeting, September 9th. The discussion items and the takeaways included clarifying the applicability of the noise ordinance and special events, so to make it clear on what that enforcement is and what applies. To limit the hours of amplified sound, and you'll hear it interchangeably, and amplified sound, music, entertainment, however that may be, to 9 p.m. and no more than 4 continuous hours only at Oyster Factory Park. Also, for staff, was directed to continue to look at ways to regulate bass, which we will do so, and then just clarify and add additional penalties for violations. So staff has since included all of those, obviously with the exception of bass. We're continuing to look at ways to regulate that and what those levels are and how we measure. But in those proposed amendments, you will see that it does resolve the conflicting language for special events. So as I go through the language, you will see that everything applies. The noise ordinance applies to everything unless exceptions are made by the town manager. And those conditions would be spelled out in that special event permit. So it's not an automatic, it's only for specific instances. It also specifies and reduces the times for that amplified noise only at Oyster Factory Park, and also includes that restriction of 4 hours of continuous, no more than 4 hours of continuous amplified music a day. And it also specifies the violations. Public comment, he was correct. There was a typo, Scribner's error in there, and there was some language that was inadvertently removed from that. What's in front of you on the screen, this is the language that is included in the ordinance. So that is in front of you. What was excluded inadvertently was the decibel levels of 50 decibels. If you have any questions, I will move on. And so that what I had just showed you, that outlines the noise ordinance and those lawful limitations for everything unless conditions are included. There's further further things that are excluded and regulated as directed just at Oyster Factory Park. And just due to the proximity of residential and how close that is and the events that occur there, Town Council directed staff to consider reducing those hours. So what we have here is that is reduced, and again, there is another little typo here, and I apologize for that, but that live music the amplified music has to end at 9 p.m. And then what says in the ordinance, and I did not have time to adjust this, is 10 a.m. That should be reflected to be 12 p.m. This is the exact language that outlines the exceptions. So again, the exceptions are not automatic. It depends on the event and depends on what those conditions are. Those conditions would be included in that special event permit, which the special event organizer must keep on site. So if there is a complaint, that the police department does have what those approved conditions are. If they do not have it on site, then they will have to abide by the rules that everyone else does. The penalties were further outlined. Town Council wanted to make it very clear that special events could be ended or the event ended if there were complaints, and then future requests could be denied. So then so that was all within the noise ordinance. We also have a section of the municipal code that specifically addresses our town facilities. So we wanted to make sure that that ordinance was clear on the exclusions and the rules for the public parks, specifically in Oyster Factory Park. So again, this just outlines the same thing, and I will reflect that should be 9 PM to 12 PM. So unless you have any questions, I do have two motions, if you wanted two separate motions for the two separate ordinances, unless the town attorney disagrees, and we can do it all in one.
Questions from council, Ms. Frazier?
I have a question. So, look in here in section 12, just to get clarity, we are prohibiting music from 9 PM to 10 AM in the Oyster Factory Park. Is that inclusive of a special event as well?
Yes.
And that time was based off of, this is your proposal to council?
At the workshop, there was discussion that it should be maybe an hour shorter than some of the other parks. It doesn't necessarily mean the special event would have to end at that point, just any amplified music or sound. So again, just to lessen that impact in the evening. So that was just, and that's where we started. Council can change that, different days of the week, or change that time, but that was one of the things that we had heard to consider.
My only concern with that, and I think that that's not something that should be finite, is because we spent about a year collecting data and hearing complaints that were coming in, and had a presentation from the chief. And the main issues seemed to be the enforcement of it and the times that it was coming from the park in terms of complaints were very limited in terms of it not being a nuisance. Again, my concern is that we're not just making a sweeping ordinance here that's going to impact 60,000 residents for Bluffton off of just the inconveniences that some have mentioned, specifically if law enforcement arrives out there, even people who are at the event are testing sounds and decibels, and they are within limits, but someone who's just opposed to having any type of music or disruption is going to make it to be that case. I think it should be something where we're not just leaning into opinions of some, and where we are using this as what's actually happening there to make sure we're not impeding on everyone else. Because I think for weekends, to end that at 9 and the time I think was ending at 10 seems excessive if there have not been problems with that.
The only thing I will add, quick, just for clarity, and remind everyone that special events, town manager can issue exceptions. So for example, fireworks, I would assume that would be an exception if it's an approved fireworks show, because that clearly would be past 9 PM and most likely later. And that's just to remind everyone about special events and possible conditions.
Anything else? Ms. Burton?
I thank you for the staff for working on this. I know this is something over the last year we have workshopped and talked about, so I appreciate it, and I'm in full favor as presented. The one question I want to ask is just more about the starting time frame, which I think was 12 noon, not 10 AM, is that correct? And I just want to make sure, and maybe it is through the town manager exception, but for the races, I know that there's quite a few 5Ks and things that start at 8 AM. Would all of those require an exception if they use, I mean, most of them have a speaker, so.
Yes, I believe they most likely would if there was any amplified music or sound.
They would, that would be part of the special event permit they would be asking for. Same thing whenever we do the blessing of the fleet, there's no amplified sound at White Family, but I can give permission for an event for a certain time period and so forth.
Okay, that sounds good. And then what about the enforcement? I know we heard from a couple residents tonight. Do you believe this is something, I mean, are you equipped with the readers and everything to enforce this?
Yes, ma'am. I just sent the text to the town manager. We just purchased 7 more noise readers. Also over here, sorry. Also with the restrictions that are on, that Stephen can put on there, it's certainly going to help our officers. And if they don't have that permit with them, then we will treat them as if they don't have it. And so that verbiage that's in there certainly helps us with enforcement action, yes.
With some of the bigger events that do pull the special event permit, you have an officer there a lot of those times if it's over a certain amount of, so hopefully it wouldn't take an officer off the roads and it's actually somebody there that can
No,
enforce it.
oftentimes when we get a call, we can call that officer that's working the event.
Okay.
We'll equip them with the noise meter, so we don't even take the time of our officer. That officer there can handle it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Thank you.
Stay right there, please. I'm next, right?
Yes, sir. You go right ahead, Mr. Hamilton.
Of all the complaints that I've heard, happened probably 5, 6 years ago. I haven't heard anything. No one ever complained to me, even though we serve at large. I never got a personal complaint, phone call, email, text, or nothing. But I've heard a few tonight. And all the complaints that I've think that we need to address is the enforcement. Time doesn't change noise. You're still going to have a problem if you stop the noise at 6 o'clock. If it's too loud, it's too loud. So at 10 o'clock, it's too loud. At 12 o'clock, it's too loud. At 1 o'clock, it's still going to be too loud. So my better judgment is that we fix the enforcement of the noise. I've been around the sun a few times here, and I can tell you that we had meetings where there was a noise issue many years ago. We thought we solved the problem then. And the only way we're going to solve the problem effectively is we address the decibel level and enforce it. Do you agree, sir?
Yes, sir. I'll tell you, when we first started enforcing this ordinance, we actually lost the case in trial because there's contradictory statements in the ordinance, which really kind of tied our hands as far as the enforcement process goes. The new wording in this ordinance has fixed that. And so the education with my officers to tell them, hey, the ordinance has changed. This is what we enforce. I don't see that as being a problem.
Thank you.
So just confirming, as written, you do not see an issue with enforcing this?
No, ma'am, I do not.
But if we don't pass something, then you're going to run into...
And our hands are still tied.
Okay.
If there's a conflict between a special event permit and the noise ordinance, and that's where they.
What's happening is anytime somebody got a special events permit, they were technically allowed to go above the noise ordinance, although I don't think that's the way it was interpreted, or it was supposed to be interpreted, but that's the way it can be interpreted. And so now that really defines it better for us, and it'll hold up, I believe it'll hold up more in court for enforcement purposes.
I'm in favor of making sure that you have the tools you need to address the noise levels. I'm not in favor of changing the time.
Thank you.
All right, well, I live in the area, and I'll tell you what, after 9 o'clock, and your windows are rattling and you know, you hear stuff, and I've had lots of complaints, which I've mentioned them to you. I've had tons of complaints. And, you know, 9 o'clock, in my opinion, is late enough. You know, I'm in the business. We do catering and all that, and if you're gonna do anything the next day, 9 o'clock's time to start cleaning up and finishing up, and that's my opinion. I hear it at my house many times, and I live way more than 250 feet away, more like a couple of thousand. And I've seen it where it was so loud that I couldn't watch my game for the bass coming in there inside my house with the doors closed. So I am in total favor of changing the time to a 9 o'clock cutoff so at least people can get some rest that live in that area that are, you know, and it's a pretty populated area. And I don't know if the sound just echoes louder because it's on the water. You know, in the wintertime when the air's thick, you can hear for miles and miles, but I'm in agreement to what's proposed here on both aspects, giving you the authority to do something about what we have, and also changing the time limit on that one particular park that's owned by the town, till 9 o'clock at night. That doesn't mean everybody has to go home. That just means you gotta shut the music off by 9 o'clock so that other people can rest in peace.
I agree. I've heard numerous complaints of people that are in the bed at 9:30. Their children are in the bed, and the bed is shaking because of the music. And I just think that affects people's quality of life. That was a residential neighborhood prior to us having so many events. Again, there's numerous nights of the week. I don't think 9 o'clock to end amplified music is unreasonable. Again, the party doesn't have to end then, but just the music so people can go to bed without their bed shaking. And I think it really affects quality of life.
And I will mention one more thing for those of you who haven't been here 100 years like I have. Everything south of Bridge Street was always zoned recreational only. The only commercial operation there is the oyster factory. The only reason that we're still able to operate the oyster factory is because it was grandfathered in when the zoning was done back in the 60s, probably. The legal could look that up, but that was done for a reason, because that was a neighborhood area and they didn't want the disruption of commercial activities, and noise and commercial activities are, just, there's a reason that there's not commercial property on the river or commercial zoning on the water.
Say one more thing, Mayor.
Sure.
It was mentioned that it's always been a residential area, and you mentioned about commercial, and that's true, but we have to think of when we're changing quality of life, it's not just for those who are here, it's also for those who've been and lived in these areas when Old Town wasn't just residential. Old Town was also a commercial place, even your time, as a young kid, whether it was different juke joints and praise houses and other things that were there. When we start making changes to accommodate just some, and we don't include how that impacts everybody else, especially considering that the complaints, and again, we go back to data, so no one can ever say that we're just making a judgment call off of favoritism. When we go back to the data and look at the complaints, particularly this started after one event that everyone agreed was extremely too loud beyond what was even in our ordinance at the time. And so when we look at an isolated incidents, to use that as how we're now going to judge all the events going forward, and others have complied with what we've had here, it's something that we need to look at in terms of, are we setting a precedence that we are going to now make ordinances based off of the opinions of some without looking or considering how it impacts everyone else. Ward Street is now your home. Girard has been my home for several decades. And there have been times when I've been at events, and if a complaint has been made and they come out and do that reader 250 feet away from the sound of amplified music at 50 decibels is not a loud sound if you're judging it from that point. If you're at where that amplified music is and judging it, you're going to get a reading louder than that, and it is a nuisance. I would just urge us, and whatever the decision is in terms of time, that we are making that decision based off of whatever facts we have, data, and not just the opinions of some without looking at everyone else.
Anything from Mr. Hamilton or Ms. Burton?
No, sir.
Okay. So, is there someone that wants to read this motion?
I will make a motion to approve as presented on the screen.
Is there a second? Well, I'll second. Now, any more discussion?
So right now it appears that there's a tie on how the vote may go. Not counting votes, not saying how votes are going to go. Should it tie because we're limited, we're missing one, it would be a fail. If there's something that council would like to remove so that it can continue forward, like the hours, so we can fix the conflict that exists between the special events and the noise ordinance, there can be a motion to amend it to remove any mention or the hours that are reflected in Oyster Factory Park. Because if not, if it ties, it will be considered a fail and we'll have to start over next month. So just throwing that out for council.
So it would take 2 readings if we,
If we have to start over next month, it would require 2 more readings, yes, sir.
so if there were a motion to table it?
It would still be 2 readings next month, yes, sir.
Well,
Mayor Timmer, I think one of the options available would be since we have a motion and a second, someone could entertain a motion to amend to change the 9 PM designation to 10 PM, and then you would have second reading perhaps next month, and that could be considered and on second reading if Councilman Wood is in favor of changing that back to 9 PM.
Or keeping it at 10.
Or keeping it
whichever.
at 10, it would give,
I'll make a motion to amend it as you just said.
so that would be modifying the lawful noise limitation definition in 1338 from 10 PM to 10 AM rather than 9 PM as written in there, and then it's same with the Oyster Factory.
Second the amendment.
any more comments? All in favor?
Aye.
And that we need to have a motion on the ordinance as amended. Well, we already have the motion, we just need to have the vote, excuse me.
Yeah, I thought that's.
You just voted on.
Basically, everything's good except for the changing of the time, 9 o'clock, correct? Is that what I'm understanding us agreeing to?
Good.
Yes, sir. So y'all just voted to amend the pending motion, and now you need to vote that the motion is.
So how do we bring the 9 o'clock back when full?
It's already,
It's already been amended. That's a conversation that can be had at next month's meeting if council wants to revisit that. If not, it would continue forward with 10 o'clock should council vote based on the amendment that was just made. Before we get too far, I need to know which motion was made to approve because we have 2 separate
That's what
motions up
I
here.
thought we could approve one and table
We-
the other. Or-
So I think what we have, if I understand correctly, is there was a motion to approve on first reading both of the ordinances as presented. That was made by Councilwoman Burden and seconded by Mayor Timmer. Thereafter, Councilwoman Burden made a motion to amend the existing motion to modify the 9 PM designations as to Oyster Factory Park to 10 PM because we were looking at a 2-2 tie. So now that's been approved, so the motion pending is a motion to approve first reading of the ordinance, Chapter 12 and Article 3 noise control, Chapter 13, Article 2 public park and boat landing rules as amended with the 9 PM designation.
10 p.m.
To the 10 PM, excuse me.
Can I ask for one other clarification while you're making motions? The restrictions specifically just for Oyster Factory Park also included no more than 4 hours of continuous amplified music or noise.
I don't think
So that part would work.
I don't think anybody brought that up.
I just want to make sure that I'm not removing.
That's agreeable with me, yes.
Yeah, really, it's a little bit of a complicated procedural process to just get this ordinance amended to look like it says 10 PM instead of 9 PM. And so all we need to do is vote on it now as if it says 10 PM. I'm dealing with a little bit of a head cold, so sorry for that, y'all.
So I thought we just voted on that.
Y'all just voted on the amendment. It's a 2-step process.
Try again.
I think we're good. I think we just need to vote.
No more motions.
Call for the vote.
No more motions.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous, or something like that. Okay.
We'll make sure the minutes accurately reflect what happened.
Yeah, good luck on that. Up next, we have, that was number 5, right?
Yes, sir.
Up next, number 6, we have consideration of Public Art Committee recommendation to award a Public Art Commission at New Riverside Barn Park to Michael McLaughlin with a physical impact of $65,000, and this is Mr. Forrester.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As a way of background, you all approved the public art policy in '22. In June of 2025, we released the call for art for Oyster Factory Park. Excuse me, that was for, that's a typo, for the New Riverside Barn Park. And then in August of 2025, they made a recommendation to you all, which I'll go over now. So again, the purpose is to raise cultural awareness and build a collection of public artworks. Some of the things we've done or completed already, you all are aware of the Bluffton Breeze wrap, and that was by artist Lindsay Spears. We also have the wrap at the splash pad. That was the Sandpipers art piece by Murray Cease. And then in progress, we have the Bluffton Pearl, which is actually installed this morning. So if you have a chance to go by the Wright Family Park and check it out, I encourage you. It looks great. And then in progress is the Oysterman for the Oyster Factory Park. And the estimated completion is in the summer of 2026. So at Riverside Barn Park, the call for art was open to interpretation, but the request was to consider the location and the nature of the property as they consider proposals. But other than that, the budget was set to not to exceed $65,000. As the committee evaluates the submissions, they are looking for artistic merit, how it would place in the location, fabrication, handling, and installation, and any maintenance required of the piece, and of course, liability and safety of our residents. So the committee reviewed 5 proposals, and they recommended Michael McLaughlin, who's an artist out of Litchfield, Connecticut, and his proposal was titled Rabbit and Wren. It's there on the left. And it will be a bronze piece of approximately 6 feet tall. Included a piece that he had done, I believe this is out in either Washington or Oregon, to give you an idea of what the materials look like. There is some colored patina added to this, and you'll see that in the wren, the wren's breast and cheeks there, the orange and white. Again, 6 feet tall, concrete base with a bronze statue, and the estimated timeline is approximately 12 months. Any questions on this?
Question from council? Burden?
I mean, his work looks beautiful. I really do like the look of it. My concern is it's just a lot of money. And going forward, I would love to see us use more local artists as we consider artwork.
I have the same request and concern that it's a lot of money. Now, has this been awarded yet?
No, the recommendation is to you all for that award.
Okay, so, but how did we came up with the design that we like? Whose decision was that?
So the Public Art Committee reviews the submissions and makes the recommendation to you all. And just so you all are aware that we have a list of pre-approved artists that these calls go out to, so they're made aware of these as they come up, much of which are local artists as well. And so those are all considered when they submit them. I don't believe any local artists submitted for this particular open call, but there has been in the past.
I couldn't hear the last part, what you said?
So for this piece right here, I don't believe any local artists actually submitted a proposal, but they have submitted in previous calls for art.
They didn't submit, but they were invited, right?
Oh, yes. Yep.
Okay. That's all I have.
Any more questions from council? We have a motion anywhere up here on this? Would like to make this motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Any more questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Second. You got a second.
Oh, second. I'll second it. Now, we go to vote.
Yes, sir.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All against?
Nay.
Nay.
Nay? Okay, so that fails, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so moving on to number 7. Consideration of the acceptance of the Hilton Head Medical Center LLC's 100% annexation petition to annex certain real property contiguous to the town of Bluffton's corporate boundaries consisting of a total of 1.58 acres, more or less, located at the northwest corner of Lake Point Drive and the Buckwalter Parkway, and bearing Beaufort County Tax Map Number R600-029-000-2409-0000. Mr. Icard.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Just so you know, at the end of this presentation, there will be there's two motions. So one would be the acceptance if you so choose, and then the second is if you're deeming for it to go to negotiating committee. So I'll go over that. Just wanted to preface it with that. So we have a annexation request. It was submitted on September 3rd, and that was from Hilton Head Medical Center, also known as Novant Health, or just Novant. And it's for the 1.5 acres at the corner of Lake Point Drive. This is the intent to annex. So this is your opportunity to say, yes, we want to move forward, or no, we do not. So if you do decide to move forward, there are multiple applications that the applicant will need to submit, which includes an amendment to the development agreement, concept plan. Obviously, they're requesting development rights for that site, and I'll go into a little bit more detail on what they're proposing. And that it would be assigned to that Grandy Oaks land use tract. That's the land use tract that we just created for where the properties from University Investment that came in last year. So that's that new restricted land use tract that is specifically designated for the properties that are adjacent to this. Again, 1.58 acres consists of mainly the detention pond and is otherwise vacant. Here is the vicinity of the map, vicinity map of the property. As you can see, it's at the corner of Lake Point Drive. An aerial map here. As you can see, we have Grandy Oaks to the south, Cross Schools, Parker's gas station is across the street. Again, another aerial map. You can see clearly that there is a large detention pond on that property. Here it is on the boundary map or the zoning map. The greenish color is our PUD designation, which is that Buckwalter planned unit development. Currently, the property is in that Grandy Oaks PUD. These are the listed uses that are associated with it. It does have that village commercial. Here it is shown on the master plan for Grandy Oaks, and I've highlighted it in red and blown it up a little bit. The proposed concept plan for Buckwalter PUD, the areas that are hashed, I don't know if my cursor will show up, but I've got it zoomed in a little bit here. I've highlighted the property in blue, and that's part of that Grandy Oaks Commons. From the concept plan summary, these are the two areas that we would be updating on the concept plan. You can see that currently Grandy Oaks is at 65 acres, so that would go to 66.58 acres, as well as on the other side for the acreage summary. If you do choose to move forward, if we need to go to the negotiating committee, we would set up meetings for that. We do have a proposed schedule here. This will go in front of Planning Commission for a workshop, and then again, Planning Commission for public hearings. We'll bring this in front of you potentially in February with a March 2nd reading, and we'll work with the applicant that they would do a master plan amendment. We would bring that master plan amendment at the same time of that second reading so that everything would be taken care of. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions. The applicant is here, and they can answer any questions as well.
Questions, Ms. Frazier?
Yeah, Kevin, could you pull up the map that you showed with the different right-of-ways?
Tell me when to stop.
Right here.
Okay.
And which one is the, going to be the annex area, the proposed annex area?
See the little tiny blue piece? I just highlighted in blue. It would turn red. It would be the same color as that Grandy Oaks Common, the red with the hash mark to it.
I'd be interested to see what happens once this goes out to negotiation. My only question is with the annexation, and I'm sure we could include some of this in that, is ensuring that whatever connector ways or pieces that are going to be in that. We have clarification on who's maintaining those areas and spaces.
Could you clarify what you mean by that?
Like, if the proposal is to annex in, this is where a medical area hospital is going to be going in. I'm just saying, I don't know what the terms from the negotiating committee is going to come out. I would just like to say, like, whatever future terms are made, that if there are any connection pieces, like roads that have to be put in to take this piece to any existing roads, that we know, like, who's maintaining and responsible for that.
So that, the connecting roads were established with the existing annexation. That was the larger 65-acre piece. That was where Innovations Drive South, it would connect into the existing Grandy Oaks. That was already established. We're working through that with the applicant right now. And then any roads that are interior to this site are all going to be private roads, so the town would not assume any responsibility for that. And again, this is just maybe this visual is helpful, where you can see that the intent, and I've spoken to the applicants today. They're already submitted their site plan for the hospital, which is an approximately 250,000 square foot hospital, and has the associated parking and infrastructure. This property right here, because of the PUD has a 50-foot buffer requirement around it, so there's a 50-foot buffer that has to go around this tiny piece of property right here. By them incorporating into the town, they can then use that storm pond as well as additional parking in that area, as well as landscaping along the perimeter of it. So that was the intent of purchasing it and then being able to use it. So there's no, while they need development rights to have a parking lot, there's no other structures that are being proposed for this area.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Ms. Vernon?
I think that just answered a lot of my questions too, had to do with the development rights on the property or just 1.5 acres of commercial. Is that correct?
Yes.
Even though they do not intend, it sounds like, to build anything except
You still,
parking?
yes, you still need development rights for parking,
Okay.
as well as for any type of detention ponds that would be necessary. So they still need the rights to be able to do anything on there.
And this detention pond, which obviously takes up a good piece of this parcel, cannot be filled in, is that correct?
No, that's not necessarily correct. Now, however, what could happen is it could be reshaped if necessary. The applicant would have to work with Beaufort County because that pond does take a lot of water from the road. So you can reshape ponds and you can adjust them as needed. The overall volume will still be required throughout the site, but their intent is to, and because we have that buffer that's around it right now, it eats up a lot of space that they can then use towards parking. So they haven't got into any design phase right now because obviously they have to get through step one first. But it is intended that the pond would still be there. They might have to adjust it a little bit here and there, but it would be pond and parking.
So that was a man-made pond, that is not a wetland.
You are correct. That is a man-made pond.
I think that's all my questions for now.
Mr. Hamilton?
I'm almost there. So the applicant have no intention of doing any buildings?
That is correct, sir. Parking and infrastructure as in the storm pond.
And and that's something that's in writing somewhere?
No, sir. But what will happen is that this plan will have to come through with a master plan. And at that point, you would then see exactly what's happening. Now, I would also tell you that we have a preliminary development plan, sorry about that, for the property that's, you can see kind of there's a dead-end road. So that area right there, we've already received their plans for their hospital. And it includes obviously parking, and in the corner right there is where they're planning more parking, still using that pond and then having landscaping in there. But they have no intentions, as of today, they have no intentions of having any buildings on that corner.
So if we annex it, and we annex it under the grandiose PUD, we are essentially saying you still have those options.
Technically, yes, they would. So And again, back to that master plan process. So we would have that master plan in front of you at the time of that second reading. So if at any time you felt that like you're not there yet, you can always hold off and adjust it as needed. But my understanding is there's no building in that area.
Can we get the developer to speak to that tonight?
I'm happy to have them come up. So.
My name is Matthew Conrad. I'm the president of Coastal Carolina Hospital in Hardyville, but also here on behalf of Novant for this project. So for this, from the designs that I've seen for this so far, essentially where that cul-de-sac ends in that corner, the hospital would be proper, main hospital proper would be in that area. And this is literally the corner of a parking lot. Right now, like he was saying, there's a 50-foot buffer zone, or 50-yard buffer zone. So with that being part of the county at this point, we just can't utilize up to that water space. This would give us the ability to pull that into the overall track, so we're not dealing with county and, city in two different ordinances, or two different entities on one piece of property, and then would allow us to utilize more of that space there. But no, the way it's set up, that would be a corner parking lot for the hospital currently.
Thank you, sir.
And it's my understanding that the size of the stormwater lagoon, retention pond, that's there now, you can't change that without the county agreeing anyway, right? Because that was put there to take the runoff from the road, for the most part.
And I'm somewhat ignorant on that too. I believe it was a borrow pit that was used to build the road going in there, and it's just filled in with rainwater since.
So there's no pipes going to it?
I don't believe so, no, sir.
We'll check to make sure.
Right. Yeah, so that's the only concern I have. I mean, it's a donut hole with a pond on it, basically, is what it is, so I have, no concerns. No more questions for me?
So as I stated, there are two motions. The first one is to accept the application. And then if you so choose, then we have the next motion, which will be to, if you decide to refer it to the negotiating committee.
Somebody want to make a motion?
I move to accept the Hilton Head Medical Center LLC 100% annexation petition to annex certain real properties contiguous to the town of Bluffton's corporate boundaries, consisting of a total of 1.58 acres, more or less, in bearing Beaufort County tax map numbers R600 029 000 2409 0000.
Is there a second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you, Mr.
Yep.
Riker.
And then the next one is if you want to refer or forego referral to the negotiating committee.
Say that again now?
So we have two motions. So the second motion is if you would like to send this to negotiating committee, which since it's such a small parcel, there's not really much that's there. But this is part of the process and it is a requirement. So you still have to vote. And you can make a motion to say that, no, we do not need to go to negotiating committee with this, or yes, you do.
Personally, I don't see anything, but what's y'all's opinions?
Let me ask legal, how you feel about, we need to do any more, negotiating at this point as far as what they allowed to do based on the annexation that we're gonna approve?
It's a relatively small parcel in that Grandy Oaks PUD. It's 1.58 acres. Obviously, they could build a building on there with the 1.58 of development rights, or a future owner could. But really, the process and the concessions and the negotiations that could result in that 1.58 acre parcel are pretty minimal. So in my personal opinion, I don't think it's necessary for this tract.
So somebody want to make the second motion?
I move to.
Or you just need to say we don't need to go to the...
Yeah, I move to forego the referral of the Hilton Head Medical Center LLC 100% annexation petition of the town of Bluffton Negotiation Committee.
Second.
You want to send it to the negotiating committee?
No.
Okay. Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's done. I didn't hear you say that. Okay. That's one. Now we're on 8. Consideration of an ordinance amending Chapter 26, Article 2 of the Town Code to establish rules of operation for specialized vehicles. First reading, Mr. Kevin Icard.
Great, thank you, Mayor. We are here, as you stated, for what we refer to as the golf cart ordinance, or the specialized vehicle ordinance. And this is to allow the operation of vehicles for restricted hours of use, seatbelt requirements for certain passengers, and other related items. This act was signed into law in May of this year. We have held 2 workshops. On August 12th, we held a town council workshop. You provided the direction. You wanted to have a public workshop, and you guys agreed with all the conditions and considered expanding to require all occupants to wear seatbelts. On August 26th, we held a public workshop, which I believe most of you attended. It was well received, and the public generally supported council's views at that meeting. So some of the highlights that we have in the ordinance is that currently is stated that all occupants in a specialized vehicle would be required to use a seatbelt. And then any of the vehicles could only cross 4-lane highways at signalized intersections. All of the low-speed vehicles would be required to meet this ordinance, and that if it was approved in November at second reading, that this would have an effective date of January 1. That gives us an opportunity to provide some media education for individuals, so that way they are aware of the provisions that are then in place. As a reminder, the restricted roads and the highlighted in green are good roads, highlighted in red are not good roads, and that this ordinance is the sections that are in Beaufort County are not subject to this ordinance, even though you can see them on the map. Again, same thing, roads in green, areas down Alljoy. This ordinance would not be in effect in Alljoy because it is not in the town limits. So even though the map shows it, it is only within the municipal limits. We are here this evening for first reading. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and I do have a suggested motion for you.
Kevin, I was sleeping a minute ago. Could you go back?
Yes, sir. Which part?
You said everything is green is.
Well, everything in green is a road that you could be driving on. Now, obviously, this ordinance only affects properties that are within the municipal limits of the town. So the police couldn't ticket, our police officers could not ticket someone on, can't even read some of those roads up there, on Alljoy Road.
Our police officer couldn't take it.
Well, they could on Alljoy, not on Alljoy, yeah. Burnt Church, but not Alljoy.
Correct.
Right.
Portions.
Portion of Burnt Church.
Portions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Portions.
Portions.
We know about that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm good. Thank you.
Discussion, council?
I'm struggling a little bit with the seatbelts mandatory for all. I know that's something that you brought up at the workshop. And I obviously think it's very smart to wear a seatbelt, but at the same time, I'm definitely for less government, and I think it could be hard to enforce. I don't necessarily want our officers spending their time pulling people over that aren't wearing their seatbelts on golf carts instead of, which would only hurt themselves if something happened to them. You know, it's like a motorcyclist not wearing a helmet, and take the police away from, people that are endangering others. So I'm good with everything, except that's the one thing I'm struggling with.
If you don't mind, what I can do is I'll just read it. So the way that we have it written right now, it says, all occupants must wear a seatbelt at all times when riding in a specialized vehicle being operated on a public roadway. What previously had been discussed, and if you so choose, it would have said any child under the age of 12 must wear a seatbelt at all times when riding in a specialized vehicle.
Which is state law, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So the way we have it.
So we don't have to put that in there if it's state law.
Well,
It's
you're,
already law.
and again, that was one of the discussion items, is that
Right.
where we talked about you were looking to go a little bit more, and that is where it says all occupants. So that encompasses everyone.
We'll see where the rest of council, Ms.
I'm
Fletcher, you have
fine with,
comments?
yeah, I was gonna say, I'm fine with leaving that language in there only because we are unique. We're one of the places that allows golf carts to be on the roadway with other vehicles. And 35 miles an hour, even though it seems it's not a max speed, is still enough to do harm for someone who's not wearing that. So I think because golf carts are competing with regular motorized vehicles at the same time, I think that's a safety precaution in there, knowing that officers always have discretion, and doesn't mean that if they see someone who's without one, that they're going to be spending their time looking for or checking that. But I think having that protection in there to let the general public know that it's something that we are cognizant of for safety purposes, I think should remain.
Mr. Hamilton?
I'm gonna use certain language, smart. I think it's smart to keep it in there.
Okay, well, I mean, and I'm kind of like Emily too. I don't like government making more rules that we can enforce and, you know, restraining people. But I have done a little research and talked to law enforcement to find out that it's a fact that most people injured on a golf cart are from fall-offs. So, you know, whether the golf cart rolls over or whether they go around a corner too fast or whatever, falling off is what normally hurts them. It's not, you know, collisions. And it's been mentioned to me like, well, you don't have to wear a helmet or a seatbelt when you're riding a motorcycle. I get that. But the way I think about it is, on a motorcycle, you might have one person on there, you know, behind you sometimes. I know that's legal. But on a golf cart, you could have 8 or 10, you know, that you are responsible for them. And you know how it is. If you don't make somebody in your car, or especially a child, have a seatbelt on and you get stopped, they don't get the ticket you do. So that driver's got to be aware. And I don't think that our police department's going to be running around looking for somebody not wearing a seatbelt.
You should.
But, you know, when they have passengers and little ones especially on there, I think I would feel bad if we say, no, you don't have to in Bluffton, and then something bad happened tomorrow or the next year or whenever. It's like, you know, we had the opportunity to save that life, maybe, and we didn't do it. So I'm in agreement with leaving it the way it is.
Look, I was at one of the workshops that we had. I didn't realize that.
It's not a workshop.
I didn't realize that I had to be on the agenda in order to say something at the public comment portion.
Well, right now, we can't change our way of doing things, so.
Yeah, I understand.
But feel free to call us or
Yeah, there will be a second
whatever after
reading on this, correct?
Pardon?
There will be a second reading on this?
Correct. So somebody like to make this motion?
I move to approve an ordinance amending Chapter 26, Article 2 of the Town Code to establish rules and operation for specialized vehicles.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Oh, we need a second, sir.
Second.
We need a second.
Huh?
We need a
Second.
second.
Oh. Is there a second?
Second.
I thought I heard it.
What, you need a second? Oh, you say we need a second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Aye.
I said aye. I said it.
One time with you, I didn't hear you. Took it.
I left it next to you.
Okay. Up next is consideration of ordinance amending Chapter 6, Business and Business Regulations, Appendix A, Business License Rate Schedule, and Appendix B, Business License Class Schedule for NAICS code. The town code is required by Act 176 of 2020. Ms. Natalie.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Yes, this is part of Act 176. So every 2 years, we come to you with the MASC recommended changes to then adopt into our town ordinance. And this is required to be adopted before December 30th of this year. And it will take place for new businesses and then business renewals in next year. And if I go too fast, please stop me. I'm happy to answer any questions. So MASC recommends some class schedule changes. Again, they will be in effect for January 1st for renewals for May 2026. Here is MASC's recommendation. We do have one that will be going, or two class codes, or two NAICS codes that will be going up. We do not have any mining, so we don't need to worry about that one. The 48 and 49 industries will be going up from a 1 to a 2. And then the rest, there's a couple that will be going down in rate class. So 53 sectors, 54, 62, and 81. Nobody is going more than 1 if there is any movement. With those changes, we are projecting a decrease of about 4% or $97,000. We are recommending that there be no change in the base fee and that we do not change class 1 or class 8. Class 1 is where we start our rate classes, and it is at $1 per thousand. We are recommending that we change the step increase. Currently, the step increase is 15 cents per rate class, and we are recommending 18 cents to remain revenue neutral. And so here is the proposed class schedule. You'll see that the steps do increase from 15 cents to 18 cents. And these are in-town rates. Just a reminder that our out-of-town businesses, these rates are doubled. So this is coming for you for first reading, and then second reading will be at next council meeting on November 13th, and it will take effect for January 1st and for the 2026 business license renewals.
Questions from council? Sir, you want to go first?
I don't have any questions.
Ms. Burton?
I'm struggling a little bit with this because I want us as a town to support our small businesses however we can. And I think keeping our rates the same is one way that we can do this. This would affect the majority of businesses. And even though the increases seem small, I think it can be a lot to the business owner. I think it was questioned whether or not we had to remain neutral, but it does not sound like we are required to. Is that?
It's best practice that we do. So at our last go around, we had, I believe it was about a 1% decrease. So we did not recommend any changes, with this one being almost 4% or over 97,000 that we're projecting to be an increase. To maintain that revenue neutrality, this would be the best way to go about it.
Mr. Hamilton?
Stephen, help me with this. We are increasing the rates because we are doing business differently?
No, so the way that South Carolina law, when they passed Act 176 back in 2020, it standardized the rates across the entire state. And and requires us every 2 years to do a review of the classifications for businesses. So just for example, if you'll go to the long sheet that was hard to read.
I was wondering if maybe, and I don't know.
So if you go right there.
Yeah.
So you'll see there's some they're recommending to change rates. So they would go, like real estate would go from a class 7 to a class 6. So now if you go to the other sheet that shows the rates.
Yeah, that's what we needed.
So no.
I wanted to show this
Yeah.
one that shows the number of businesses that would be impacted, if that would help.
Yeah, so, but like if you're a real estate agent, right now you're paying $1.90 per thousand above. They're recommending you to go to a class 6, so your rate would stay exactly the same. So not everybody, because they're adjusting the classifications as well, it doesn't mean that everybody is gonna see an increase. The goal is for us to remain revenue neutral because of the way that the classes are set up. And because we're required to make these adjustments for moving people within the rates, the law says we should do a revenue neutral rate, and then it's up to y'all to decide whether you want to adopt it or not. But our recommendation, just like when we do reassessment with property values is to keep everything neutral, because if we reduce this by, it'd be a $94,000 hit in the budget right now for next year. We don't know what that's gonna look like 2 years from now. So by not adjusting the rates, we would be looking at reducing revenue that we would have to account for next year. So our goal is always to remain neutral, so it remains neutral for the town and for the businesses overall. And then Natalie does have some additional information which may help explain some of that she put in. She wasn't sure what the questions were gonna be, but I know she's got some up if you wanna go through that. They may help answer some of the other questions that come up.
Can I ask a question too? Maybe you can answer this too. So I get, trying to stay revenue neutral, but every year we increase in businesses that pay. So where does the neutral come in with the increase of revenues already? Is that on an average business, of all types, or, you understand what I'm saying? I mean, I know we have more businesses now than we had last year. So if we're comparing, are we comparing our total, or are we comparing on a percentage basis of each business? Or, yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. So for this exercise, we want to use apples to apples. So we take our current businesses with that revenue that was presented to us against what changes MASC is recommending and what that impact is. During our annual budget process, that's when we take a look at any new businesses that may be coming on. And so we include that in our annual projection with the annual budget that we present to you at that time. This one is strictly looking at the businesses that we have currently, and then the impact of MASC's recommendation and what that looks like.
So why are they recommending, I'm trying to see where it makes sense. Why are they recommending this change?
This is something, they analyze the businesses across the state, and they propose these changes for everybody across the state to then make the schedule changes that's proposed.
So we aren't the only ones that will be making these schedule changes. Everybody that collects business license across the state of South Carolina will have to adjust the classification of 1 through 8 within the state. Where it comes down to each individual jurisdiction is how that change impacts you financially. Because it may impact some to the positive, it may impact some to the negative, depending on how your businesses are made up within the town. So when we do the calculation based on that change, it shows, based on what we collected this last fiscal year that just ended in July or June 30th, we would have seen a $94,000 decrease in the revenue that we collected last year. So that's where the recommendations come from.
But from what I can see, it looks like the major industries are getting a decrease.
Correct.
I don't know if that's fair.
That's based upon MASC's recommendation. This class schedule that you see here are those adjustments. The ones in red are where we have currently and then where they're going.
So I don't see, but mining, we don't have no mining anyway. So.
Right, so that one we didn't need to worry about. The only one that is increasing is the 48 and 49 sectors, which are trucking, towing companies, those types of things. They're going from a class 1 to a class 2. So regardless if there's no changes whatsoever, there will be an increase from $1 per thousand to $1.15 per thousand. But with the proposal, it'll be $1.18 per thousand in class 2.
So everybody else is going to go down. Am I looking at this right, Stephen? I should have studied this.
A large portion will go down, but there are some that will stay the same.
Stay the same or go down?
Correct.
So nothing's going to go up except for transportation and warehousing. Is that what I'm seeing?
Right.
Correct.
One other question for me. What is considered out-of-town business?
I guess a good example would be somebody who may want to come and paint your house, but they don't have an in-town business. They're coming in to perform those services, but their main business is maybe in unincorporated Beaufort County or maybe on Hilton Head, but they're still providing business in the town of Bluffton, so they're required to have a business license. So at that point, that would be an out-of-town business that's coming in.
But they're required to have a Bluffton business license even though they're out of town.
That's right.
It's based on point of service and point of sale.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember when we revised all this, 4 or 5 years ago, it was a mess. I don't know if I understand everything about it yet, but.
And again, when the state tries to make something work across the entire state,
Yeah. One
this is
glove
what you
doesn't
end
always
up with
fit.
because they require us to revisit every 2 years.
When you say requires to revisit, it still give us the flexibility though, right?
It requires us to revisit the class. What we charge rests 100% with the town council.
Basically, state law is going to dictate that these class codes change so that mining will now be a class 3 rather than a class 2. And, some of these others that y'all noticed. But the way it would work in operation is something like healthcare and social assistance, which it was a class 4, will be reduced to a class 3, which is, a 3-cent reduction if the rates didn't change. But with the rate change, it would bring them back up to where they were as a class 4, but it would also raise the rates of the other class 3 businesses like administrative and support and waste management remediation services.
So she has some examples in here, which is exactly one that he's going through right there. So you could see like what it would look like for a business license for somebody that's meeting that, what he just described.
He just gave me another thought. He said waste management. If waste management rate is gonna go up or down, because that might change how much they charge us.
They're at least capped on that. They have a contract that caps their increase every year to CPI.
Okay, all right. Okay.
So what is this current example you have up?
So this is the example here, where currently a class 3 is $1.30 per thousand. With a proposal, it would be $1.36 per thousand, and what that impact would be.
If we're a business that had $2 million in income, it would affect, that they'd be paying over $1,000 more a year.
No, just over
$120.
Just over $100 a
Okay,
year.
great.
Yeah.
$100.
Glad I read that incorrectly.
And it is all based on their gross revenue. So if revenue is up, they'll pay a higher business license. If it's down, their business license will be lower.
So it almost looks like if we don't accept this, and we're actually preventing some people from getting a discount.
Where a business goes in the rate class is not determined. That's MASC's determination. We analyze what that revenue impact would be to us.
Any more discussion?
Is there a motion? Is there a motion on the table? Would anybody like to make the motion?
Make a motion to approve the ordinance as presented on the screen.
Is there a second? Second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Wasn't sure about that one, though. Wasn't sure about myself. Okay. Number 10, approval to authorize a construction contract with Gulfstream Construction Company, Inc. for construction of the Pritchard Street Streetscape Project. Physical impact, $2,540,000. Ms. Beth Lewis.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just to start, project location is the section of Pritchard Street between Bruin Road intersection and the Bridge Street intersection. It also includes the Beaufort County School District parking lot that is located off of Pritchard Street, directly adjacent to Town Hall. So a little bit of background about this project. It will include improvements to the stormwater infrastructure, as well as sidewalk, street lighting, ADA compliance, and additional traffic calming and paving improvements. Construction of the water quality infrastructure is funded in part by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, which was made possible by the South Carolina Department of Environmental Services through grant funding. I also wanted to mention that the portion of the project that is within the school district parking lot is a cost share with the town, so the school district will be funding portions of that work. Town staff went through the town procurement process. The bid opening was held on September 15th, 2025. Gulfstream Construction Incorporated was determined to be the lowest and most qualified, and you can see there the 3 bids that were received. So we are requesting that town council authorize the town manager to execute a contract with Gulfstream Construction Company Incorporated for $2,540,000, which includes the almost 20% contingency. This is approved in the fiscal year 2026 budget. So following council approval, we will submit the contract for signatures and initiate the pre-construction meeting. A notice to proceed will be issued at the pre-construction meeting, and we currently anticipate that work will commence in November of this year. We'll also be notifying property owners throughout the process and the school district throughout the process. And construction is expected to be completed by the end of the summer of 2026. And of course, that's subject to change due to inclement weather. So with that, I will take any questions that you all may have.
Have you had a public workshop to hear from the residents?
We have, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to make sure they are fully aware of what is going on and the plans and all of that. And then are we using pervious surfaces where possible with this?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beth, you're entitled to your first initiation.
Nothing like coming and presenting on a $2.5 million.
Presenting for the first time and $2 million. I have no questions.
I do have a question, Beth. You said it's a shared cost, and we have our estimate here. Does that estimate include our shared costs, or do we know what percentage the district will be paying?
I'm gonna lean on.
Ma'am, off the top of my head, no. I do not know that a cost share agreement, but council did previously approve an intergovernmental agreement with Beaufort County School District for that. So we can go back to earlier agreements made this summer and get you that number. Yes, this does include that in the total budget for the project cost. It's one of the funding sources that's included in the data sheet that should be in the staff report.
That answer.
Did that
I'll
answer?
look for that. Thank you.
So, y'all just communicated on.
If I may interrupt, I'm so sorry. Natalie is the finance director extraordinaire. As she just pointed out, the intergovernmental agreement with the school district is for $232,990.
So the number that we're seeing here is.
Does include that, yes, sir.
So they're just gonna give us that. So it's really the project is $290,000 more than what we're seeing here, correct?
$290,000 less. This work, the cost here includes doing that work, and then they'll give us the money back to reimburse us for that cost.
Okay. So if we don't need that money, why are we putting that in here? I mean, if that money's
That's the
coming.
total award for the work they're completing. We're awarding the total work.
contract.
For the contract,
And we're paying up front, and then we'll be reimbursed.
correct.
We're doing the work for them.
And the 100 or 200, what was the grant from the 319 was?
Yes, so I will
Yeah,
go
for the
back to
BMP
that.
study.
Oop, I'm sorry. So that award was $124,577.
Questions, anybody? Any more questions?
No more questions tonight. Let's go home.
All right.
We reached
Somebody
our
want to make a
limit.
motion?
Let's put it back on the screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
No, go one more, go one more, go
go
one.
one more. You're just kidding.
I move to approve the motion that's on the screen.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you all. Thank you, Miss Beth. I like you better than, because Kim always asks for more money. Okay, up number 11, consideration of an ordinance for a master lease to the Don Ryan Center for Innovation, Inc., for real property owned by the town of Bluffton identified as Beaufort County Tax Map number R61003000020660000 located at 97 Progressive Street, Bluffton, South Carolina. Mr. Forrester.
Good evening again. So this is related to our public-private partnership and the building that is transferring back to the town. We broke ground on it in October of 2024, so a year ago. Total estimated investment of ours as well as the private developers, $13+ million. To date, we have the agreement which you all approved for the child care operator in one unit. We are currently in negotiations with tenants for 5 of the remaining 6 units, as well as in negotiations with a company prospect that will occupy a couple of the offices in the landing pad. The estimated opening of the building is December 1st. So here's some progress pictures. Your upper left is the exterior by the main entrance. To the right is the back area where the playground for the daycare is. The couple interior photos, so the one on the left on the bottom there is the new conference room, large conference room, and then to the right is the lobby area of the new landing pad for DRCI. So the purpose of the master lease is it'll provide some parameters for DRCI to go out and sublease these spaces while maintaining the integrity of our mission here with the economic development of the town. It also is to help maintain the property tax exempt status of the building. It will continue to support and encourage development of business and industries, business startups and growth, and increase investment and job growth in the region. Some notable provisions of the lease is a 5-year lease with 4 5-year renewal options. Defines a qualified subtenant, so an early stage company or one that is expanding, potential for creating new jobs or a service that is unserved or underserved. They are required to participate in a DRCI program. And of course, they have to pass all background and credit checks. Subleases greater than 3 years will need council approval. Annual reporting, so DRCI will be required to report to you all annually on the terms of any subleases entered into and the number of jobs created through those leases. There is some prohibited uses included in the lease. Anything that obviously conflicts with any current covenants that we have. No manufacturing, refining, agriculture, or distilling. No junkyards, dumping, or storage, and no adult-oriented businesses. Any questions?
Ms. Burton, any questions?
Mainly a comment more so than a question. I know you emailed me over information prior to the meeting, and I appreciate that. My only comment is, and I know I've said this when we've talked about Don Ryan Center in the past, but I would love to see it stand on its own financially. And I wonder, is there any way to capture the opportunity cost somewhere so that we know what the Don Ryan Center truly is costing us as we, in the future we'll talk about what the town has to subsidize it. I think the opportunity cost of leasing it to them at no cost should be taken into account. Again, I think it just gives us a full picture of what the Don Ryan Center is costing the town.
Mr. Hampton?
Emily, I've been saying that for 20 years. I sure have.
Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion? Would somebody like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the ordinance as presented on the screen.
I second the motion.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Chris. Up next, we have the consent agenda. Is there anything, anybody wants to take off of there? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that's unanimous as well. Is there a motion to move into executive session?
So move.
To discussions related to arrangements for proposed land acquisition in the area along Bluffton Road pursuant to South Carolina Freedom of Information Act 30-470. So, we are adjourned and in executive session.
enter into negotiations for the purchase of 3 lots located at 182 Bluffton Road contingent upon a suitable appraisal and other due diligence.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
I make a motion.
I do too.
Good night.